Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Run on the Rainbow, 90-Day Fiancé's Julia lost her family member, how her love for Simba inspired her new business. 90-Day Fiancé star Julia Trubkina is living with a terrible loss. She lost her beloved dog, Simba, posting about his passing yesterday, on May 3, 2025. And her love for her loyal companion sparked the creation of a new pet-centered company, Kingdom of Dogs. The human and her fur baby had some amazing experiences together. Simba really loved Julia. In fact, the pooch once went berserk because she was about to leave for a trip to her native Russia. Dogs are intelligent creatures that bring so much joy to their owners' lives. Julia was extremely devoted to Simba, who has been a part of her life since she began her stint in 90-Day Fiancé Season 8. It's actually hard to think of a pet owner who was, or is, more devoted to a dog than Julia was to Simba. Through life's ups and downs, including a controversy over Julia's thoughts on plastic surgery, she's not a fan, and called out Yara Zaya for changing her face and body, and clashes with 90-Day Fiancé's Ron and Betty Gibbs. Her husband Brandon Gibbs' parents. Simba was there. Julia posted the most heartbreaking photo in the Instagram post shown above, via her Instagram. In the picture, Simba is very ill following a stroke. She cuddles her pet, whose eyes are filled with pain. The pooch's gaze has a faraway quality that's disturbing. Of course, she loves her dog with all her heart, and as she prepares to say goodbye, it's clear that the situation is wrenching. Nothing is harder than letting go. Accepting the finality of death is never easy. The pain of grief can be so extreme that it just takes over. In the photograph, Julia's delicate hand cradles the dog's head. Her touch is so tender, so caring. The dog's paws are up, almost helplessly, as she gives Simba a kiss. Really, it's one of the most moving portraits of a dog and its owner. It shows the love between them so clearly, and definitely shows the great big heart that beats inside the villain Julia, who's often misunderstood. Julia often seemed cold-hearted, like a classic 90DF gold digger, but she's still with Brandon after all these years. She's made peace with his parents, and now she's crying over the death of a pet. She's not as one-dimensional as she seemed. Julia is a human being, and her journey on and off-screen underscores the fact that she's evolving as a person. She's showing entrepreneurial spirit with her subscription box service for pet owners, and she may be attempting to make more money because Brandon had a mental health crisis recently. He was living with panic attacks. If Julia's stepping up her business game to help provide for the family, so Brandon feels less pressure to earn, that's noble. While she hasn't said that she plans to be the family's main breadwinner, she may feel like she could make Brandon's life easier if she was. Julia may not really be a villain, just a strong-willed person with opinions. Maybe she's really a good wife who loves her husband, animals, and even her in-laws. The sweet side of Julia is appealing. When she talks about Simba, she's showing a lot of depth and compassion. In the past, it was easy to question her motives. She came from Russia like many 90-Day Fiancé gold diggers have, and it was all too easy to label her a user. She arrived at Hummingbird Acres farm, and immediately began to complain about being forced to sleep in a different bedroom than Brandon, and do Betty's efforts to keep the young lovers apart. It's easy to understand why Julia was so upset. They were in love and wanted intimacy. Betty was afraid that Julia would get pregnant. Later, it was revealed that Julia lives with fertility problems. It was also revealed that Julia didn't have to do those tough tasks at the farm. She was given a choice and decided to. However, she seemed to prefer painting Ron and Betty as villains. Most people have their good and bad points. The true angel or villain is a rarity. Life is rarely so black and white. Everyone's got their own point of view. So, it's possible that fans weren't quite sure about Julia. Was she a decent person or a user? Time reveals a lot of truths. if people are patient enough to wait things out. Misconceptions can topple like dominoes when new facts are revealed, starting a chain reaction that dramatically alters a person's image. That's the case with Julia. As her marriage endures, even though it's hit turbulence, she's shown that she loves her partner. At this point, she doesn't really need to stay with Brandon. Other 90DF stars from abroad have bailed out on their relationships. One famous example is Pedro Jimeno. Julia stays, and that doesn't seem like something a gold digger would do. There's no indication that Brandon has a lot of money. Also, there's nothing wrong with Julia wanting a better life, a nicer home, vacations, and the like. Julia Trubkina, whom fans of 90 Day Fiancé remember as the fiery Russian wife of Brandon Gibbs, has always danced to the beat of her own heart. But what viewers didn't know is that behind her bold TikToks, candid opinions, and fitness routines lies a deeply personal journey, one that began with the heartbreak of losing a beloved family member, and ended with a colorful new beginning, Run on the Rainbow, a passion project turned business inspired by the love of a little dog named Simba. Simba wasn't just any dog. He was a fluffy, cinnamon-colored Pomeranian who Julia adopted long before she met Brandon. With his ever-wagging tail, eager eyes, and a bark that could wake the neighbors 3 doors down, Simba had been her shadow through thick and thin. When Julia left Russia to start her life in rural Virginia with Brandon, Simba stayed behind with her parents, too old to travel, too nervous to adjust. But every video call included Simba. He would perk up at the sound of her voice, pause on the edge of the screen, squeaking his favorite toy as if to say, "Don't forget me." And Julia never did. In early 2025, Julia got the call she had been dreading. Simba, now 14, had passed away peacefully in her parents' arms. The loss gutted her. "It was like my soul had been scooped out," she shared in a raw Instagram post that quickly went viral among her followers. "He waited for me for years. I was supposed to see him again this summer. Now he's gone. Forever." Fans reached out with love. So did castmates, Tanya, even Angela, surprisingly gentle, and Yara, who sent a heartfelt voice memo in Ukrainian-accented English. "Our dogs are never just dogs. They are our forever babies." The grief lingered. But Julia, never one to stay down long, started finding unexpected solace in movement, particularly running. She began sprinting through the wooded trails near her Virginia home, imagining Simba running alongside her, his tiny legs moving double speed to keep up. One misty morning, just after a rainstorm, Julia took off down a trail and saw the sky crack into the most vivid rainbow she had ever seen. She stopped, chest heaving, sweat pouring, and smiled.